Welcome back to another Millennial in-depth video, Future Millionaires. If you are new here, hit that subscription button below and turn on the notification bell so you get every single time I upload a video. Today we're talking about that Roth IRA. I love it. So, like I mentioned, we're going to be talking about the 5 mistakes that I often see people making with their Roth IRA that are costing them thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And that is not future millionaire behavior. So we're going to make sure we arm ourselves with knowledge to avoid making those costly mistakes and make sure that we are on future millionaire successful path, on a path. I quit teaching English and I just can't speak English anymore. So let's get right into it. The first huge mistake that I see people are making with their Roth IRA is putting money into the account and not actually investing it. It is really important that you remember that your Roth IRA is not a bank account. It's not a savings account. It's not a high yield savings account. That once you transfer money into your Roth IRA, you've opened up the account, you're excited. I'm excited for you. You then have to invest the fund. So do not leave that money just sitting there because it's not going to be doing anything for you and it will not be growing to millionaire status, which is what, we essentially want. The second huge mistake that I see people making with their Roth IRA is investing in tons and tons and tons of things with costly fees. So that means hiring a, financial analysis, So that means hiring a financial advisor, right? In which we think, oh yeah, it's only 1%, it's only 2%. That adds up quickly, right? So if you're thinking about a Roth IRA as a retirement tool, that means you won't be using it for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. 20, 30, 40, 50 years, that 1-2% is going to add up to a lot of your hard-earned money that you are just giving away in fees. Besides your financial advisor fees and all these other like robo-advisor fees, you want to pay attention to expense ratios if you are investing into index funds, ETFs, and mutual funds. Your expense ratio could be detrimental to your overall, how much money you get to keep in your pocket. So keep an eye on that. I like to keep my expense ratios below 1%, right? So 0.09, 0.03, 0.05. Those are the numbers I like to be around. So just keep an eye out and avoid fees as much as possible. The third mistake I see people make with their Roth IRA is entering into a false sense of diversification. Now, what does that mean? Of course, we talk about we want a diversified portfolio. We want to make sure we have assets that are making, us comfortable in case the stock market swings left and right, because that's what it does. That is the nature of the market. But if you are investing in assets that are investing in similar other assets, then that is a false sense of diversification. So for example, a lot of people love to talk about the S&P 500, myself included. But if you are investing in mutual funds and index funds and ETFs that only track the S&P 500, that is not really diversified. You're just investing in the same 500 companies, right? So you want to make sure that your asset allocation is truly diversified in emerging markets and international stocks, domestic, all of these different things. Now, that leads into my fourth mistake. When we talk about investing in your Roth IRA, you want to make sure that you are really, benefiting off the tax shelters and avoiding the pitfalls of fad stocks. I know it's exciting to invest in things like GameStop or along that same vein, but you do not want to be investing in fad stocks. The purpose of your Roth IRA is to make sure that you're living a happy, healthy, financially independent life in your retirement. So you don't want to take a lot of blows, right? You don't want to take a lot of hits. Of course, the market is going to do what it does, but you don't want to be investing in something that's going to be, skyrocketing one day and then dropping drastically the next day. My heart cannot take that amount of risk, right? So when you are investing in your, Roth IRA, you want to make sure you're investing with growth in mind. And so I recommend a lot of times, besides just index funds, target date funds. They're not as sexy as the latest fad stock, but they help me sleep better at night, right? They help me, get to my financial goals without having a hernia or like a stroke. Okay, so you definitely want to pay attention and make sure that you're focusing in on growth and not focusing on fads. It's the same thing when I talk to people about investing bonds into their IRA. Again, I am not a financial advisor and this is for educational purposes, of course, but if you are interested in investing in bonds, your Roth IRA might not really be the place for you to put those into. So keep that in mind and, just moving forward. The fifth and final mistake that I see people making in their Roth IRAs and in many retirement accounts actually is early withdrawal. So if you're following your favorite financial influencer, which I hope I am one, you want to make sure that if they're telling you to invest and they're talking about generational wealth, they're also talking about the importance of having an emergency savings fund. Now, when you have an emergency savings fund, it needs to be 3 to 6 months of expenses. So that $1,000 that we've been hearing in the olden days of finance, it's not going to cut it, especially when, like, I own a house. $1,000 can be gone in 3 seconds, right? So you want to make sure that your emergency fund is funding 3 to 6 months, or is fully funded with 3 to 6 months of your expenses before you dive into the market, before you dive into maxing out your accounts. Because what ends up happening is you max out your accounts and you're doing really great with your investing in retirement, and then your roof blows off or your car breaks down, and now you have to borrow against your retirement accounts, and you're facing penalties, you're facing fees, you're facing all these things. And the worst part is you're not gaining in on that capital interest, right? The best part of investing and seeing your money grow over the long term. So it's important that you really set aside money for emergencies so you don't find yourself borrowing against your retirement accounts. And that is just some tea, some Roth IRA tea from your favorite future millionaire. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye.